into this other man, and I forget his name, but yeah, he cut into this other man and drew blood, and then put pieces of paper and tissue paper onto the blood, and then distributed them to the audience. So this is literally creating a human printing press. Now this man is not HIV positive, but because Affy was HIV positive, this created such a, I mean, besides the fact that it is human blood, and that's usually put in biohazard containers at the doctor's office kind of thing, but the fact that it's associated with an HIV positive artist just kind of made the blood infected by association. So this caused an incredible outcry that he's infecting his audience with AIDS, and he kind of became, he calls himself the typhoid Mary of performance art, because here he is, a contagious person who's getting being messy, getting his blood everywhere, and then finally getting into this man is named Daryl Carlton. I think that's his name. Daryl Carlton was not HIV positive, but again he was guilty by association, and this kind of mimics the way that you are. I mean, this idea of association, of you are the people whose company you keep, and again this kind of idea that if you are some part of some deviant part of society, if you're an injecting drug user, if you're a homosexual, or if you aren't, but you associate with these people, then you are them. You are just as deviant as they are. So again, he's challenging these assumptions. Here's some more. I didn't show you the most provocative image from this, but you can get it from the title. It's Solar Anus, 1998. He's literally being pierced, pulled, mutilated, manipulated. It's about manipulating the flesh, and the physicality of his actions. So it's again this kind of intention, shocking. It's shock art, but it's also again making a statement about. I almost showed you this video, but I decided not to. Making a statement about his own body, about not necessarily the disease, but about corporeality again, bringing it back to that. This performance, it's a very long video. I didn't show it to you because it's very, very long. But in where he's wearing a wig, and he starts by kind of brushing it nastily in a way that a woman would never brush her hair because it would give you so many tangles and knots. So then he starts with that, and that was already disturbing to me. And then he continues with, and escalates until, and then you can see he's bordered by glass on all sides, so that the blood gets flicked against the glass. It creates patterns. He presses himself into the glass. He's confronting you with his blood, and his blood is a source of fear, a source of horror. Okay, I'll change this. I didn't show you the video, I promise. So, moving on quickly, because I know we don't have that much time left. So I'm going to move on to not just art about AIDS, but artists and their actions. So artist groups. I have AIDS awareness actions. This is one of the most important artist groups that deals with AIDS and HIV, and they're still going today. This is a screenshot I took just the other day. This is Visual AIDS, and they began in the late 80s. I don't know the exact date, but their first event that they staged was this Day Without Art. And World AIDS Day is December 1st of every year. That's World AIDS Day. It was put on December 1st supposedly because of the U.S. election cycle. The first World AIDS Day was in 1988, and there was an election in the U.S., and so I believe it was the first Bush. And they didn't want the World AIDS Day to be kind of overshadowed by political coverage, so the group, the founders of World AIDS Day set it for December 1st. So it would be kind of after the political coverage had subsumed, but before the new year. So the second World AIDS Day, December 1st, 1989, Visual AIDS created Day Without Art. And this is sort of the symbol for Day Without Art, the picture frame, again, this graphic sensibility. And it continues on. There's Day Without December 1st, there's memorial services and other events that are planned in conjunction with it. This is how it looks in practice. So certain pieces will be, and I don't know what the piece is that's underneath that. I just pulled this off Google, but certain pieces are covered, certain pieces are removed, and these plaques are put in place. These plaques are explaining the meaning of the significance of what happened. And this idea of removing art, removing things that are considered beautiful or pleasing, aesthetic, it's supposed to engender awareness in the viewer, the museum goer, somebody who wouldn't necessarily be really conscious of the fact that it's World AIDS Day, for example. Maybe they just are traveling and want to see an exhibition. It's again getting people kind of catching them unawares, but bringing them into the discussion. And this is another gallery in which all the art is wrapped in like plastic trash bag. So again, it's off limits. You can't see it, you're denied that. And it shows kind of the consequences. I mean, what would happen if all these artists, think of all the artists that we've lost to this disease. I mean, I've shown you artist after artist after artist who died.
Did you ever see AGO?
I don't know. I honestly, I've never seen it. You have to see if they have it on like I think you can see a list of participating galleries and museums on the Visual AIDS site. But the AGO would also have like Day Without Art events if they are. So yes, get me to an art gallery on December 1st. But yeah, reminding us that look at all the people we've lost to this disease, and think about all the work that hasn't been produced because of this. Think of all the great work that has been produced because of it. If you think about that, but we'd rather not have the disease. Another visual AIDS project, which I'm sure all of you are aware of, this is pretty ubiquitous, is the Red Ribbon Project. It was begun in 1991. The Red Ribbon formerly was, well, still is a symbol of Mothers Against Drunk Driving, but now, at least in my mind, like whenever I see a red ribbon, I think of AIDS. I don't think of drunk driving. Whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing, we won't touch on that. But it shows how successful this project is. But it took an existing symbol and really, and just really overtook it. This is what the red ribbon now means to people. Red ribbons were chosen because of utility. They were very easy to make, very easy to wear. People, participants would get together and make massive batches of these ribbons and then distribute them. Celebrities started wearing them. Apparently, the very first celebrity to ever wear a red ribbon at an awards ceremony was Jeremy Irons at the 1991 Tony Awards. And then eventually, it just, over to now, you always see celebrities with a little. When you think about the height of the crisis and the amount of attention that was given to AIDS and AIDS research compared to today, I mean, there's so many issues going on right now. It doesn't take up the same share of the media and the attention. I think a lot of people think that AIDS has been cured because you don't see a lot of high-profile AIDS deaths. So again, the ribbon reminds us that even though progress has been made, there's still a lot more to go. And this also, in 1993, the United States created a red ribbon stamp, which was actually pretty significant. To get a stamp in the U.S. is a big deal. Other countries as well. I mean, this is a Romanian red ribbon stamp. It kind of looks pink, but I assure you it's a red ribbon. And so again, this idea that the government now endorses this campaign. I mean, you don't get on a stamp without, without actually being approved by the post office, by the federal government. So the fact that it's now on letters, again, nobody mails letters anymore. But in 1993, people did all the time, and this would have been ubiquitous, would have been just constantly on people's minds. And one last project I'm going to show you is the AIDS quilt, and the AIDS project. So 1987 to the present, this is still going on. There is a digital AIDS quilt. You can go online and actually see there's this one scanned in like every single panel. You can kind of see in here, like this is about the size of one. So you just take that and you kind of extrapolate it. These are people creating their own quilt panels in memory of a loved one. It's organizations making quilt panels, charities making quilt panels. It just shows the volume, not just the number of people who've died, but kind of the volume of support for these people and the people who they left behind. So the fact that their loved ones remain, people who cared about them, people who were affected by this, cared enough to create a square, a panel for the quilt, and then bring it, and have it displayed. So this is, for example, what some of the panels look like. We're loved eternally. It's really sad if you look through them. It's like really, really sad. Don't look at the site if you're feeling depressed. You will go with somebody and do that for 50s. Yeah, anyway, yes. So that, again, these personal messages. It's a quilt. It's not supposed to be uniform, and it's again when you create a monument. But it's interesting. You actually think about the Alan Capro quote in the very beginning of this term. Creating an impermanent monument goes against democracy. This is an impermanent monument that becomes permanent. It's very, the fact that making a monument out of fabric, out of cloth, homemade items, but then it becomes as grand and as powerful as any of the other monuments that are in that space, that are dedicated to wars, to fallen soldiers. The AIDS quilt actually, it elevates these people to that level. They're given that kind of importance. And this quilt travels. It doesn't just go to Washington. It goes all around the world, this quilt. It goes from place to place. And again, it's available in digital.